Hey guys, this is another video where I'm going to go through how to podcast, and I'm really enjoying doing this series. Podcasting is something I'm super passionate about, and I've generated 5 podcasts up until this point. I actually had a call just today. We're going to be creating another one. It's just such a fun process, and it's something that allows you to get super creative. It allows you to get your energy into some great ideas. And so what I want to do in this series is really simple. I want to teach you how to podcast. I want you to learn with me and go through this process. It's been an amazing journey for me, and I know you're going to get a lot out of this. So for this video, it's going to be all about creating your vision. So if you see that on the screen there, it's about creating your vision. But what does vision mean? What do you think about when you hear the word vision? It literally is about visualizing and sensing and taking into account what this experience is going to look like, right? So when someone enters your home, when someone comes in and takes a look at your home, what is the effect you want that home to have on them, right? So when you're talking about the vision of your podcast, what does your logo look like? What do you want people to feel when they hear you? What do you want the vibe or the connection to be? What do you want the energy to be? What do you want people to feel when they start to experience your podcast? So we're going to go through in this video, I'm going to go through the overarching concepts that you really need to figure out and start to tease out and think about when you're going to generate your podcast. And again, it's not that hard, but these are the basic things that you really want to think about. So I'm going to go through some of these questions and concepts. And feel free, again, this is a live video, but also if you ever want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out to me with your questions. I'll do some follow-up videos. This is an interactive process, and I don't imagine to capture everything in this video. So hopefully I'll get some feedback as well. So we're going to start off with a really important question to ask when going through this process. And this is, why do you want a podcast? So why are you even going to take the time, take the hours, take the continuous effort to even put this out there? So you really want to define what it is that you are looking for by doing this process. What do you hope to achieve? What do you hope to bring to the table? Why are you going to enter this kind of process? And I'll tell you the whys for me, seriously, the interpersonal development, the things that you learn through this process, the guests you be able to meet, the people you can interact with, all of those pieces are super valuable for me. And then on top of that, all of the random, again, serendipitous opportunities I've had to be able to build from this have been amazing. So why do you want to build a podcast? Like, I really want people in this video to start to jot down their answers if this is something that you want to do for yourself. Number 2, what do you want to learn? So what do you want to learn from the process of podcasting? One of the easiest ways to start to develop the idea of something that you want to do is maybe you want to learn something. Maybe there's something that you want to get from your guests. Maybe there's topics you want to explore. So what do you want to learn through the process of podcasting? If you can figure out what it is that you want to achieve beforehand, start to set yourself up for what things you want to learn, that's going to make it a lot simpler to really dig into the podcast you're going to create. So what do you want to learn? What are you looking forward to getting out of this experience, either through you searching for it or from your guests? What do you want to learn? It's really important to think about that. What are your strengths and interests? So this kind of pivots off of the last question, but what strengths do you have that you want to bring to the table when it comes to your podcast? Maybe you're an athlete and you want to talk about your athletic experiences. Maybe you're a scientist and you want to talk about the research you've done. Maybe you're a real estate agent. You want to talk about the real estate projects you're up to the recent laws, the different things that you go through in your life. So I won't venture to guess what your strengths and interests are, but this is an important question to ask yourself when you start to develop your idea, starting to hone in on what it is that you can bring to the table when it comes to a podcast. Who are you trying to serve? So maybe you want to flip this around and say, what if I have a listener coming on to my podcast? If I have someone entering this, what am I bringing to them? Who are you trying to serve? What do they look like? What type of things do they research or listen to? Or what mediums do they like to go on? Who are you trying to serve? What type of person do you want to have on your podcast? What do you feel like is the types of people or groups that you want to have on? Because that's going to start to get your mind going into the direction of what type of content you might want to create, what type of people you want to have on board to your show. If you can figure out who you're trying to serve, if you figure out the types of people you want to have on board, then you can start to figure out what guests you might want to have on, what ideas you're going to talk about. So this question is super important in guiding the content that you're going to create. So who are you trying to serve? I'm trying to serve in this video. I'm trying to serve people that are go-getters, people that want to improve themselves, people who want to get out there and try something new, people that want to be more creative, people who want to generate more energy. I want you to take charge of your life. And so I want you to really feel that in these videos. So who are you trying to serve? What do you want to create in this world? And who do you want to help through that process? That's a great question. And I want you guys to explore that and write down your thoughts. How do you want to be impacted? So every person, by going through this process, you're going to be impacted in a different way by creating your podcast. So that's something to think about. And also, how do you want your guests to be impacted? What do you want them to feel like when they leave the episode? And that kind of goes to this next question. So how do you want your listeners to be impacted? So do you want them to come on the podcast and feel better about themselves? Do you want them to come on the podcast and feel more informed? Do you want them to come onto your show, and when they listen, you want them to leave that episode knowing something that's going to improve their life? What is it that you want them to get out of hopping on to your show? And this last question here: how do you want your podcast to feel? When I pose this question, I mean, what does the vibe feel like? Is it light and funny? Is it energetic? Is it a little bit more serious and informational? Is it comedic? Is it surprising? Is it a little bit mysterious? Are you trying to create an experience, a sound experience? What kind of feeling do you want people to have when they enter your podcast? You can get super creative with this question. So if you want to input some of your creative ideas into this, you can really make this podcast your own. So like, this is where your intro music comes in, or funny sounds that you can put in, or the guests you have on, or the topics you talk about. This will allow you to get really creative on how do you want people to kind of feel when they enter your show. This is a super important question. So these are some of the general questions that you're going to think about when you have this overarching brainstorm of what you want your ideas to be. So this episode or this video is all about you starting to brainstorm, coming up with some ideas. If you're going to enter, maybe considering doing a podcast, these questions you want to answer, so you can start to come up with, like, what is your title going to be about? What sort of topics are you going to do? What guests are you going to have? All these different ideas. Or maybe you want to do a solo podcast, right? So all these questions, if you can answer them, it's going to start to steer you towards maybe a direction that you want to go. It's not about being perfect right away. It's about getting started, but you want to start to answer these questions. So this video is all about creating your vision, creating the vision, visualizing, tasting, smelling, seeing, sensing what this is really going to look like. So what is your podcast going to look like? How are you going to visualize this thing? That's what this video is all about. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Comment. Also, by the way, I have a YouTube channel. It's Dr. Taylor Brana. So you can also check out those videos on there. And I hope you guys got something out of this video. So I'm going to head out for this one, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Hope you have an amazing day, and we'll see you on the next one.